Welcome back to the True Blue Everton podcast with myself, Alan Myers, and Tony Grant. Tony, good to see you. We're looking ahead to Brighton, away trip, and in recent years, it's not been a bad hunting ground for Everton. We all remember the 5-1 game, don't we, with Sean Dyche? How are you thinking? What are you thinking after the draw against Leeds?
Yeah, Al, every game's a different type of challenge. The Leeds first half is we've quickly forgot about that now. We've put that to bed because the second half was much better. Um, we've got a few of the boys back, haven't we? I know a few came back for the last game, but another few more days training. Going to Brighton, it's not like the Brighton who I knew years ago, Al. Brighton are a decent outfit now. They've made themselves a decent Premiership outfit, and they're a challenge for any team. So I know you just mentioned Dyches went there and we scored 5 goals. I mean, be lovely to replicate that, wouldn't it? But I think it's a game Everton can go there, and I think we can get 3 points out. I really do.
They're not in a great, as you say, they've very much been a different team, haven't they, over the last few years? They've really put many better teams than Everton to the sword, haven't they? But as you say, at the moment, I think they're a couple of places below Everton in the table, at least a couple of places. They've not had their usual season where they're up around the sixth place. So I think you're probably right. We can smell maybe the chance of and when you look at Everton's away form, that bodes well, doesn't it?
It's us. We've got a couple of really important players back up. I know we've lost a really important player, but we've got a couple of really important players back now. You got the lads who've come back from the African nations, and I thought last game they done great. Wasn't expecting them to both start the game last time, but they've had a few more days getting used to back in the Premier League. It's a lovely pitch to go up at Brighton. It's not hostile. They want a really good game of football. I think the game will suit Everton. I really do. I think defensively, I think they'll find it tough to break us down, is what I think. And I think it's a game we can definitely win.
Do you expect more from? I mean, Ndai was brilliant in the first half against Leeds. He was probably the only light really in that first half. Garner Gay looked to me to be very leggy, very tired. And strangely enough, that they turned round at the half time and Ndai looked less
Yeah,
involved, whereas Garner Gay, he had a shot against the crossbar. He
that's
he
right.
was
Yeah,
involved in the goal.
yeah.
So do you expect a better performance all over the 90 minutes from those two because they've had a week back now?
You do, and football's a wonderful game where you never really know what you're going to get. The best players are consistent all the time. Young Ndiaye on the wing was outstanding in the first 25 minutes. Right? He's done some skills which,
Yeah,
you don't see no more, do you? The kids, there's 2 rounds and then there's 3, then there's 4. Next minute he's away from a lot of them. I mean,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
now, as he tired? Possibly. He's just had a really great tournament, hasn't he? A
yeah.
fantastic tournament, a big part of it. And then you're right with what you say about Garner. The first half, he looked really leggy, but the whole team looked quite leggy the first half out.
Mm,
And it's
mm.
easy to pick on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 players, but the whole team looked leggy. But then the second half, with a different shape, they got some energy. And that's football for you. Sometimes you just never know how it works. You might win that first race or that first tackle, or your pass is a really crisp pass, and it gets you going again. Um, the Leeds second half, I thought the players could smell a bit of blood, and the fans were behind them, and they kept going. And you know, should we have won the game 2-1? Well, it'd be harsh on Leeds after their first half performance, but it's definitely put us in a good space, I think, to go to Brighton. And I think the players are enjoying the football well.
As far as that second half against Leeds, we saw the re-emergence of Keenan Dewsbury Hall, also Jared Branthwaite. Let's start with Branthwaite. Do you see Moyes putting him in alongside James Tarkowski, and sort of from the start, and then moving maybe O'Brien back to right back? I mean, can you see him doing that?
Do you know what, Al? I'm actually hoping we play 3 at the back, personally.
Yeah,
I
you
think
mentioned this the other night.
I
Yeah,
do. I really do. I think give Enzai, switch it up a little bit for Enzai. Bring him in field a little bit where he can cause different types of problems for
yeah,
defenders. Um, we're going to lose Jack, aren't we? Or we've lost
yeah,
Jack. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
he's your out and out winger. So you've lost your out and out winger really, who hugs the line. So I'd love us to play three at the back. I think Branthwaite's got to play for me because I think he's that good that it'd be a shame for him not to play. And I understand sports science and trying to look after him and all that, but he's been out a long time. I'd love to throw him on, and if he blows up, take him off. You
Mm.
know, but I'd love us to go to Brighton with three at the back. I really would. I thought the second half against Leeds, it's new for a lot of them players,
Yeah.
but they took it on board and pinned Leeds all the way back. There seem to be more players in midfield who are comfortable getting on the turn. Dewsbury always got to go straight back in the team as well. Another one.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about him. His influence. I don't know what he gives us, as but he gives us something which just makes a difference. I don't know what it is. It seems to be like a quality on the ball. I think
Yeah,
the passing,
yeah,
everything about what he does seems to have a quality to it.
yeah. Well, good players, Al. That's what it is. And a lot of the things you're saying, it will, you know, he will come with that under that label of
Mm.
his passing, his energy, how he reacts for when we lose the ball to get back and help the
Yeah,
team defense. You know, these players who get signed by your Chelsea's and Uniteds, you know, there's normally a good reason. It doesn't mean they failed because they haven't done it there. Um, there's normally a good reason, and the reason normally is they're a good player. He's actually a good player. Also, for Everton, it's a big loss when people like Kieran's not playing. It really is. So it's great to see him back.
hopefully he starts
I
tomorrow.
think he will. Al. I'm sure he
Against
will.
Brighton. Yeah. As far as you looked at Dwight McNeil. We saw, as you say, that today on the Friday that Jack Grealish won't be. It doesn't look as if he'll play again this season, from what David Moyes has said. Still not completely confirmed, but it looks pretty gloomy, really, from his point of view. But as far as Dwight McNeil, I mean, I thought I was really critical about him for the Leeds goal. I thought he left his man, James Justin, who eventually scored the goal. He
Yeah,
didn't follow him and then when he did eventually go, he sort of run the wrong way.
yeah,
Is he in danger of losing his place? Do you think in the team tomorrow?
definitely. Definitely. You know, the lads had a. What would you look at his season so far? Very bit start, hasn't it? You
Mm,
know,
yeah,
in out, little few minutes here. It's been a tough season for him, right? The habit he showed there of knocking off, you can't do it in the Premier League. You just can't knock off for a second. And the best players don't knock off. We were talking about Dewsbury Hall before when I was saying his reaction time of running back when we lose the ball is instant.
mm,
And the best players do it. Now, there's moments where Dwight shows real good quality. He scored
mm.
some cracking goals.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think he's a midfielder who's got a goal in him, Al.
Mm.
Um, but
Is he
sometimes
a confidence player, do you think?
I think most players are confidence players, and some maybe more than others. Because he's technically a good. Because he doesn't rely on pace, does he?
No.
So he's never been a fast player.
Certainly didn't against Leeds, that's for
But he's
sure.
not. I think if you look at his whole career, he's not fast. Certain players are fast and some
Yeah,
aren't. He's not a fast player. So technically, he's a good footballer.
yeah.
Technically,
Mm.
because you've seen some of the goals he scored. He scored some cracking goals,
Yeah, he has, yeah.
right?
Mm,
But the game needs more than that. And
mm,
when you're playing for Everton, it's the bare minimum to do the shift up and
mm.
down. Is he at risk of losing his place? I'm sure he is. I thought, for me, Roll comes back in,
Yeah.
personally. He comes
Mm.
back in. I think it was harsh leaving him out. I don't think he'd done anything wrong, to be honest with you, to lose his shirt. But, yeah, and then Dwight has to then, if he is on the bench, when he comes on, he has to make that impact because he has got a goal in him. And that's where
Mm.
I'd use him. I'd use him from the bench.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing is, we talked before about O'Brien maybe going back to. So you have the three with O'Brien, Tarkowski, and Branthwaite, and then keep Patterson, because he's done
Yeah,
nothing wrong, Patterson, has he?
yeah,
He's
yeah.
performed well.
He's performed well. And if you go back to the first half against Leeds, with the ball, Everton got the ball to Patterson a lot, but he had no Everton players anywhere near him.
Mm.
And to be fair, you don't want him going 1v1 because it's a good chance he'll lose the ball. He's not a winger, he's a
Yeah,
fullback, right?
yeah.
So you want him to build the play up and players to run off him and then use his energy behind the next pass.
Mm.
I don't think he's. I think he deserves to stay in his position. You're talking about confidence. Just let the kid play. He is a right back. You know. Now, for me, having Big O'Brien behind him gives him a little bit of license to, get forwards. And I think
Yeah.
O'Brien's a good cover for him. And that's why I'd really like us to see us playing three at the back. Al. I really would. I
Oh,
think we
yeah.
have more
Okay.
options in the middle.
Um, okay. Listen. As far as Brighton are concerned, I think they're without a couple of players. Tommy Watson's a long-term doubt, and Brojan Gruder. He got an injury, so it looks like he'll be out. Now, Igor, also the Brazilian defender, he returned from loan at West Ham. He could be fit enough and be included, so obviously they'll have to watch him. But the one for me is Minter, who, of
Yeah,
course, not long ago Everton maybe was going to sign him. As far,
yeah,
as far as part of that Dominic Calvert-Lewin Newcastle
yeah.
thing. Didn't happen, but he's really done well since he's been at Brighton, hasn't he? And he apparently he's come back following a dead leg. He played 10 minutes against Fulham, but no definite start whether or not he's going to start again against Everton. But if he does start, he's going to be a threat, isn't he, Minter?
Of course, Derby, Brighton are a threat anyway. Al.
Mm,
Mintay's one of their stronger talents going forward. Um, they love to build. They love to build, and they love to play through the middle, which is why I would block up the middle. It's why I would have four in there. I really would. I'd make it
yeah,
really. I'd let them have the ball up until a certain point. Out. You
yeah,
know, soon they run out of ideas. They really
mm,
do. And when you got players like Ndai who can actually go past players, it opens up plenty of opportunities. Um, so yeah, Minte, they're going to have a number of players who are threats. He's probably one of the standout ones. But it's all what you do with the ball as well, Alan.
yeah. Of course it is. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
we're not going to Brighton to be afraid of Minte. We're aware that he's a threat, and I'm sure they've done all the due diligence
mm,
on how they get the ball to him, what they're going to do, and who's going to back who up. Transition's a big problem, but we have got three good centre halves there who can sort transition out. And then you've got Garner Gay, who's an experienced player.
yeah. Of
Young
course.
James
Yeah.
Garner can control midfield. We've got some good footballers.
Mm.
So, he is a threat, but we've got our own threats, haven't we?
Yeah. Let's talk about the transfer window because we'll probably do a pod on transfer window day or whatever and talk about what was happening. As far as Everton are concerned, it looks like listening to the manager in his press conference on Friday, it looks like they're not going to do anything. Does that surprise you?
It doesn't, Al. It doesn't, it doesn't. It does, as in, we've had a hell of a lot of injuries to
Mm,
important players, and we're not that far off the top five.
yeah.
So, if you really want to get into that top five, it's not a bad time to go and, is there someone out there who's available, who's offers you something you haven't got?
Mm,
The other side of it is the club have been quite quiet, haven't they? They
yeah.
have been quiet. There's been, even building up to this January. I'm not sure what direction that's going to go in. Whether we're going to wait to the summer, whether we're only buying younger players and you're just going to wait to the summer, whether it's a development program that they've got. So part of me is surprised and part of me isn't. I'd like to find out actually what the plan is with the recruitments because I know we've bought a few younger players counting the
Mm,
Barry, he's only a
mm.
young lad, isn't he? We bought
Dibbling.
a few, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, do you know what I mean? And Dibbling on the wing.
Mm,
So I'd love to see new blood. As a player, Al, it's nothing better when someone who's new comes into your changing room. Not
yeah.
forget the pictures for a moment.
Mm,
Just a new character in the
mm,
building. You know,
mm.
it brings something to the table. And then obviously you're hoping he's a very good footballer or he offers you something, whether it's pure
Something
pace,
different. Yeah.
something different, yeah.
Mm.
So as a player, I mean, don't be wrong, you get on with it as a player, but it is nice when someone just comes through the door and he's going to get used.
I look at it. I mean, I've said all along from the start of the season that I felt we needed another striker. That to me has proved that I don't think there's enough goals in this team.
Yeah,
That's the problem. I know Barry is starting to come up. I always felt that he was a young player. He was going to take time to, and even now, I can see him having his drop off period
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
He's done well. He's the last two finishes he's had are absolutely brilliant. Fair play to him. And you can see in him. I was behind the scenes on whenever it was Monday night, and you could see how happy he was. To
yeah.
have scored again. So that's fine. But I still think the way we create things on the pitch, it needs more of a threat in the
I,
striker
I,
areas.
I agree, Al. I totally agree. I think one of the problems you've got recruitment can either make it or break it, can't it?
Yeah, of
In
course it
in
does.
in,
Yeah, it's
in
everything.
general,
Mm,
what they can't do is go and outlay another 30 or 40 mil, and then another striker comes through the door and he's similar to what you've got, as in
100%.
they
Yeah.
can't hold the ball up. They're not great at holding the ball up.
Mm,
There's not much intelligence. I know Barry's young, and I think he might come good as time goes on.
mm.
But to help the team now, it's who you're bringing in. Is there anyone out there who's been around the block? Is there anyone out? Back in the day, you'd buy a Mark Hughes, wouldn't you? Back in the day,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
been
yeah.
around the block. There's plenty.
Mm,
We bought a Barry from Man City in midfield, been around the
mm,
block, ends
mm,
up being an outstanding signing.
mm.
Um, is
I
there
mean, Kev
anyone there?
Campbell. Kev
Kevin
Campbell.
Campbell, yeah,
I mean,
big Kev.
is the
There you
ideal
go. He's the perfect
example of
one,
that.
yeah. Now,
I mean, when he came in that season and transformed the team, really.
well, that's it, and that's my point. Is have we even looked at any of them? And by the way, is there any of them out there?
Mm.
Football's changed a lot now. Is there any of them out there? You talk about like um, academies these days. There's less strikers at academies, which means down the line there's less strikers to find. So
Yeah.
it's a tough job finding the right striker. It really
Mm.
is. But I agree with you at the same time. It's a position that we've got to keep looking at.
The dilemma is, do they go and take a chance on somebody and maybe get into towards the European places, or even finishing eighth and seventh?
Yeah,
If you could do that, the
correct.
message it sends out to everybody is that
Yeah,
the club are moving forward.
yeah,
Whereas if you don't, and we have some injuries again, and we start losing a few games, then you're sort of going down into the fourth. I don't think there's any chance
yeah.
of us getting relegated this season.
No, I
But
agree.
going into the 13th, 14th positions, it looks
Yeah,
very different to a
yeah. And
league season, doesn't it?
I'm a big believer, Al, to grow your club. It's
Mm,
getting to quarter-finals and semi-finals. Now,
yeah.
someone will come at me and go, "You got to get the final. You got to win it." Right? Well,
Mm,
okay, I get that because we all want to win a trophy.
of course, yeah.
But to grow your club, if you can keep getting to quarters and semis or keep finishing
Mm,
eighth, ninth, what you'll find you're starting to get good players
yeah.
because you're getting to the ends of trophies there.
Mm,
Whereas if you just win the cup, it doesn't mean your teams grow because next year you get knocked out the first round, you're back to
yeah.
18th and the 17th in the league. Nothing's changing, and for me, Everton finishing at the moment in your eighths, sevenths, sixes,
Mm.
that's got to be our
It's
minimum.
progression.
It's
Yeah. It's
progression.
progression.
And then
Mm,
the cups, we've got to start getting to the ends of cups. Now, if that
mm,
means quarterfinals, semi, we've got to start doing it in
yeah.
all in the two cups out. We have to.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with you. Well, we'll see in the next couple of days. There's still a few days
Yeah,
left. I
yeah.
would never, one thing being sort of 20 odd years at Sky has taught me is never to say never. I
Never
mean, I
say never.
remember,
Yeah,
I remember also, deals which you may not think. I remember standing one day there for 16, 17 hours at Finch Farm. And the only person that came through was a sort of 16, 17-year-old John Stones. And
yeah.
everyone says, we spent 1 million on some kid. And of course, a few years later, we
Of
we
course,
we,
yeah.
we sell them for 50 million quid. So the window is very unusual. It's a very slow one this year for everybody, not just for Everton.
That's right. Yeah.
There's not many people making big signings at all. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, look, to end today, our viewers enjoyed our blind ranking game, which we did. We made a bit of a mess of it, to be fair. I'm glad to say,
And also,
for ev
when you said we made a bit of
yeah,
a
sorry,
mess of
I
it,
made
Al,
a
I
bit of a
think,
mess.
yeah, you made a bit of a mess,
I
Al.
even had a phone message off Elton Wellesby who said, "I loved the blind ranking thing, but you lost control, and I think that's the nicest
Yeah,
way, the way anyone could ever
yeah,
describe it.
yeah, yeah.
So we're not gonna. You've got a pen, a hand, so
Go
you're
on.
gonna keep
Yeah.
that. And today we're gonna do 10 centre halves. Now, what you have to think about, anyone listening to this or watching it, what you have to remember is it's not about the best centre halves. What it's about is 10 names, and Tony has to rank them of where he thinks that particular player sits in that 10. So it could be, it's not all about great players. It's not about the best who've played for Everton. It's just about where they sit. So we're going to start off with someone who I know you know very well, and I know you rate him, and this is why I
Okay.
put it the first one, is Dave Watson.
Yeah. So I'm going to put Dave Watson as number three.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
I love Dave Watson. By the way,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you don't, obviously I played for a number of clubs, and obviously Everton being the biggest club.
Yeah.
But Dave Watson as a captain
Yeah.
was by far the leader, by
Mm,
far the leader. And I
mm,
was at Everton
mm.
from school out for nearly 10 years, seen lots
Yeah.
of players.
Yeah.
Dave Watson carried himself as
Mm,
the only leader in all that time. I was there as a player,
mm.
one of the only two or three who was leadership material, and it was
Yeah.
Dave Watson. So I can't speak highly enough of Dave Watson.
And he led by example, didn't he,
By example,
Dave?
but in
You
everything
know,
he's done, yeah,
in everything he did,
yeah,
yeah. Whether it was on the pitch, off the pitch,
everything, yeah,
he wouldn't accept
yeah,
second best for anything.
that's right.
Okay, so that's the first one. Oh, so you're going in number three there.
Well, the only reason being now, so everyone knows, I don't know who you're going to say,
No.
and I've got two spaces, and I'm hoping you say them. Now, if you don't say them, Waggy goes number one. But if you
Okay.
don't,
Yeah, but hang on, no. Yeah, I'm going
I
to
know,
you only get one change. Okay.
yeah,
So the second one is Mr. Craig Short.
Shorty, love Shorty, play with
Yeah.
Shorty, coach with Shorty. Wasn't the greatest footballer, but was one of the bravest
Mm,
footballers.
mm, mm.
Um, Knew his job, put his head
Yeah.
in where it wouldn't, but no one else would put the feet.
Yeah.
Um, Everton centre-halves, okay, I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm going to say for being a proper man, hard as nails, never let no one down. I'm just going to stick Shorty in a seven.
Okay. 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 Well, the next one is Derek Mountfield.
Yeah, okay. Derek scores more goals than probably all our strikers put together in recent times.
Yeah. Yeah.
It, Centre half and arguably the greatest teams I've ever seen at Goodison Park.
Mm.
It is the greatest teams I've ever seen. So, big player, big history with Everton. I'm just going to stick Derek as number four.
Okay. Okay. One behind Waggy.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one will be an interesting one. Joseph Yobo.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. 'Cause obviously, I never played with Joseph.
No.
He had his own. Whereas Short, he was a big, brave
Mm.
centre back. Yobo was more pacey, wasn't he? He was more
Yeah.
pacey, and football was just starting to change at that time as well. But Yobo done well for us. But I'm not going to stick him ahead of Shorty, so he's going to go number eight.
Okay. I always remember both David Weir and Alan Stubbs, who both said about Joseph, the problem was when those other two played together, each one of them knew what the other one was going to do.
Yeah,
But the problem when playing with Joseph is Joseph didn't know what he was going to do, never mind either of those two. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
was the problem. But as you say, he was very pacey. He was a good
yeah,
footballer,
yeah.
and he was a good centre half, but goes in at number eight. Okay, next one is Phil Jagielka.
Oh, I like Jags. Yeah, I thought
Mm,
Jags was very good for us personally. We played
yeah,
some good football when Jags was here, wasn't he?
mm,
We had a good team, didn't we?
yeah,
We go back to that small era. I remember Jags playing for Sheffield,
that's
Al,
right. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I never thought he was going to be big enough to be as
Mm,
commanding a centre back.
yeah,
And I've got to take my hat off to him. I think he's another one of them players who you come across in your life who get the best out of all their
mm,
ability they've got.
mm,
He
mm,
was athletic, strong, scored a couple of important goals, didn't he? Or amazing goals.
yeah.
I like Jags, but I'm going to stick Jags at five.
Okay. Okay, so just for those watching and listening, just give us a little recap of where you are at the
So
moment.
I've got Davy Watson number three, Derek
Yeah.
Mountfield number four, Jags five, Shorty seven, Yobo eight.
Okay. Okay. So the next on the list is the current centre half, James Tarkowski.
Yeah, he's probably a bit like he's a
He's got a bit of everyone, isn't he?
yeah he has
Yeah.
he's a
Mm.
better footballer than Shorty, but he's a similar type. He's a big brave guy.
Strong.
Yeah, he's a big, strong guy. Knows the league. I remember a long time ago. I remember when I was coaching at Blackburn, and I was having at the end of we played Brentford, and Davy Weir was with Brentford at the time. I
Mm.
remember chatting to him.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him saying to me that outside the Premier League, Tarkowski is the best centre half outside the league, and he was
Really.
playing. We were playing in the Championship at the time,
Mm.
and I think he was right, wasn't he? Because he's been a
Yeah.
good Premier League centre back.
Oh,
But
for many years now. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
and to be honest with you, I'd have him in seventh right now, but I can't. I'd throw him in
Mm.
seventh right now, Al, but I can't because
Okay.
it's taken up, and number eight's taken up. So he's going in at 9.
Okay. 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 So we've got I make that 4 spaces left.
You got 4 spaces left, Al. Yeah,
Okay. So next, this is an interesting one. Is Jared Branthwaite, Tarkowski's sidekick, if you like.
you've got me here, Al, because
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Jared Brown's right?
Yeah. Well,
I'm
that's
a
what it's all
huge.
about, this game, so.
Well, it is because I think the kid is going to be. If you'd have asked me this in 12 months' time, Al, I
Mm.
think I'd have him as number one because
Right. Okay.
there won't be a bigger fan out there than me of Jared Bradthwaite.
Mm.
But I'm hoping you've got these two names. If you don't pull number one and two up, I'm snookered here out, right?
Okay.
Right, because I'm going to put Jared as number 6, right?
Okay. Okay.
Now, as far as football goes, he's better than all them who have mentioned so far. But he
Mm.
hasn't he hasn't had the longevity at Everton, like say
Yeah.
Dave Watson,
Consistency. Yeah.
and he hasn't done what Mountfield's done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he'll have a little bit of way to go. But I
Mm.
think if you'd ask me that in a little bit of time in the
Well,
future, it'll
maybe in a
change.
year's time we'll do it again.
Okay,
And we
yeah.
can have a look. Okay.
So he's
So the
he's
next one,
going in, he's going in at 6, Al.
number 6. Okay. Number 6. All right then. Well, the next one is one. It wasn't here a long time, but I think his impact was really good. And again, that's not about why you're ranking them. It's as a player. It's as a
Hmm.
complete player. Is Richard Goff
Well, I made up you said Goffey because he's my number one, right? And I might get
number one?
he's my number one.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I was hoping you said Goffey because I was brought up training with. Forget watching the game in the 80s, but training with your Dave Watsons, your leaders.
Mm, mm.
Well, Goffey rivals Dave as a leader.
Yeah.
Goffey come to us towards the end of his career. He's
Yeah.
the fit. He's one of the fittest men you'd have ever
Yeah.
met.
Yes,
Right?
I can confirm that. Yeah.
What a footballer is all I can say.
Mm.
Training with him, playing with him. I thought he was on a different level.
Yeah. The
Right?
vision. He had a great
He had a
vision,
bit of
didn't
everything, and hey,
he?
he
Mm,
could get
mm.
stuck in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't shake him by Goffey. He had a bit of everything for me. I mean, I'd have loved to have seen him play because I can't remember him out in his early 20s. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
But playing with him towards the end, full of experience, it's hard to finish above Dave Watson for me
mm.
because of how high regarded I put Dave Watson.
Yeah.
But as far as training, playing, and what I've seen, Goffey is number one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I can see it. Same birthday as me. Exactly the same
I can see
birthday.
the
Same
comparison. I
year.
can see the comparison now,
Yeah.
Al, as
And,
if you're
and when you
talking.
say,
Yeah,
there was no one fitter at his age, believe
yeah,
me, there was no one fatter at that age
yeah.
than I was. So listen, 2 to go, and this is where it gets a bit tricky, I think,
Number
for
2
you.
and number 10 here.
Number 2 and number 10. So something's got to move because I
Something's
tell you,
going to move here, isn't it?
I don't know how you're
I
going to do
don't know.
this. In
I
fact,
don't.
I'm going to tell you now, you can't do it,
You
right?
can't do it. Yeah, I know you're
So
going to kill
next
me
on
now.
the list, number nine on the list is David Weir.
See, I've left one space for a certain centre
Oh,
half,
okay,
right?
okay,
David Weir wouldn't be at number 10 if I'd done this here. I
no,
thought David Weir was a fan. He was similar to a Goffey. He wasn't as good a mover as Goffey.
yeah,
Goffey was a more elegant mover.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
but David Weir was a great footballer.
yeah,
Really good footballer.
good leader.
Good leader, intelligent footballer. And I don't want to put Davey as number 10, but I can't move him. I'm sorry, Davey, but
Well, you've got one move left, or
well,
at the
I
end when
have.
we've done it at the end,
I have.
you've got one place left.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say, for all you know, I could be putting who was the guy that came and got sent off. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
You could be
In the
putting, you
80s,
could, don't put Carl, don't start hitting me with Carl Tyler now.
or
That
or
would
or,
kill me off.
or Per Kroldrup. What? No, I'm not going to. Yeah, the last one,
So I'm gonna go on,
the
go on.
last one is our most, what's the word? Successful centre half and captain, and that is Kevin Ratcliffe.
Well, I mean, we do this game out, and I'm thinking he can't leave Ratters out, can he? Right now,
Yeah, but you see,
Ratters,
this is the thing you see though, Toe,
but
right?
you
It's
can't.
not
I
about,
know. No,
because
I get that.
there's many more centre halves that we've had who would
I
be up
know.
there in the top three.
I know. But Ratters, yeah. So me growing up in the '80s, I'll go on the match.
Mm,
Obviously Derek Mountfield scored a lot of goals,
mm,
but Ratters was the man at the back.
yeah,
You know, he had
unbelievable.
a great
Mm,
goalie behind. Don't get me wrong, and he had two fantastic fullbacks, didn't he?
yeah,
But Ratters was the man. He'd clean up
mm,
anything, wouldn't he?
yeah, yeah.
He just cleaned a lot up.
He was a sweeper, wasn't he, as well as a
Oh
centre
yeah.
half?
So and he's a great fella. I know Ratters really well,
Yeah, yeah,
but I mean, it shows you how much I rate Richard Gough, doesn't it? In a way,
yeah. It does, yeah, yeah. It
because
does, yeah.
I grew
Mm,
up watching Ratters play.
yeah,
Um, so it shows you how much So I got to play with Richie Gough, and I
mm,
think it tells a lot of how good I thought he was.
yeah.
You
I
know,
can I can see what you're doing though. I can see where your thinking is. I genuinely
yeah,
can, as somebody, because he as you said, I think the phrase you used before, he had a bit of everything.
bit of
And I
everything.
think you're
Yeah,
right. I think Richard Gough did have a bit of everything.
yeah,
He was classy, he was strong, he was a leader, he was a passer,
yeah,
he was a footballer, he was everything about him. And
yeah,
while Rats had virtually all of those things, there was maybe one or two little areas where even he probably would admit that he could have
yeah,
been better.
yeah, yeah.
But okay, so I'm guessing you're putting him in because it's the only last place at number two.
Well,
Um,
I left that space hoping that you would. Now, if you'd have
oh
said
right, okay,
Carl Tyler would
yeah,
have went number two, wouldn't he?
yeah.
Right, and I've
You
got no.
probably just
I love.
switched the off button on the
Well, I
feed.
love Carl Tyler. He was a
Yeah,
great guy as well, right?
yeah,
Do you know what
yeah.
I
He was,
mean?
yeah,
And
mm,
he just gave you what he had,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if you'd have said him, you'd have snookered me, wouldn't you? Because he'd
Gle-
have been
uh,
ahead of all these
oh
players.
yeah,
But
Glenn Keeley was the one I was going to say. That would have been a
right, yeah.
cracker. But look, so okay, you've got your 10. Just run through
Yeah.
your 10.
So I've got in order: Gough, Ratcliffe, Watson, Mountfield, Jags, Jarrod, Shorty, Yobo, Tarkowski, and Davy Weir.
Okay, so you've got one chance to
So
move somebody, switch places
yeah,
with one player, two players.
so I would switch. I'm happy with my top 5 or 6. I am.
Okay,
Davy Weir for me would go up to 7th, and Shorty would have to go down to 10.
okay,
So that's the
okay,
only one. I'd take Davy Weir up before Yobo, Tarkowski, and Shorty. Yeah,
okay.
but behind them, and I think, do you know what? That's better than my strikers one. That I'm actually happy with that one now. I don't think I can have much stick over that one.
No, well,
No.
If Elton Wellesby wants to
Yeah, see if
private
Elton
message
what
me
he
on
thinks.
Twitter,
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll give his opinion. Well, of course, he'll be saying when you put LeBone in there,
of
but
course.
he.
Yeah, yeah,
You got to understand the game, and you got to
yeah.
understand what it. Well, listen, that was good. I enjoyed that, and the fact that you wrote it down. There was no stumbles. There was no
No
messing
stumbles
about,
out. Yeah.
and we got it right. So, and if you are traveling down to Brighton and you maybe need something to listen to, and you can listen to this, safe journey. Fantastic away support as always, Everton, and we'll be looking at this game maybe Sunday, maybe Monday, and doing our debrief on that. And we'll have a look on Monday, maybe and we might do a couple during the day, maybe Monday, so as
Yeah,
with it
yeah,
being transfer deadline day, and
of
we
course.
never know,
Yeah.
we might be able to bring some news. So we'll look forward to it. But for now, thanks very much for tuning in to the True Blue Everton podcast. I'm gonna have to get used to that, aren't I? And we'll see you next time.